Rabbi Tzvi Klebanow, Shalom.
Shalom.
President and co-founder of the Netzah Yehuda Foundation, Nahal Haredi. Last week, 4 soldiers of the Netzah Yehuda battalion were killed in the Gaza Strip, and of course, your foundation and your friends, it's all about embracing the families. It's part of a big family. Tell us about how you're coping with this tragic incident.
Well, Netzah Yehuda is an NGO. It's an Amutah here in Israel, which was founded to accompany the soldiers of Netzah Yehuda. It was founded together with the IDF and the Ministry of Defense. In other words, 3 partners formed the original Netzah Yehuda unit. And from that time on, the organization accompanies the soldiers of Netzah Yehuda, accompanies them emotionally, spiritually, gives guidance, and is with the soldiers. And because of that, Netzah Yehuda is really a family. Wow. It's more than just an organization that visits soldiers, but we have many different facets. We have lone soldier homes. We have 30 plus rabbonim that daily go to bases across the country. We have a program for veterans. We have a new initiative which is a guidance center. In other words, it's a soup to nuts organization which provides whatever a young Haredi young man needs in order to enter the army and make the decision of what he wants to do in life.
And when tragedy occurs?
When tragedy occurs, so we're there for the injured, for the families. We're there to embrace them and give them everything that they need. If you look at our instructions over the WhatsApp group that comes to the Rabbonim every day, there's a list of locations, there's a list of the injured, who's where, what departments, and the Rabbonim split up, visiting the injured soldiers, being menachem ovel fortunately to the families that have lost their son, and we're there with the family.
I'd like to talk to you about the families and the coping really with this big challenge of drafting from the Haredi community to the army, but I'd like to also, first of all, hear about how it's felt during these tragedies, or with families that need to deal with their wounded son. Again, coping with the fact that they weren't really part of this whole issue of joining the army. Many of the families, some of the families even aren't in connection with their children. Tell us a bit about that.
Right. This is a real challenge because a very disproportionate amount of soldiers. I think the number in the regular army was always said that 5% of the Israeli soldiers are lone soldiers. And what lone soldiers means is that in the regular army that they don't have parents in Israel. In the Nahal Haredi, we created a new definition of lone soldier. Lone soldier is somebody who has parents in Israel, but he doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a home because he doesn't feel comfortable going home, or his parents don't feel comfortable with him being at home in a uniform. And therefore, that's a new definition of lone soldier.
So it's important to emphasize that sometimes they're telling him, we love you, we even support you, but it's better that you live somewhere else, that you're defined as a lone soldier? Sometimes that happens?
Sometimes that happens, and sometimes it's much worse. Mm-hmm. It's as soon as a boy makes a decision that he wants to go into the army, so unfortunately the door is closed. Wow. Now maybe closed by the father, not the mother, maybe by some family member. He may have connection, but many times they just don't have any connection at all.
So in these cases,
when the son
is wounded or worse
than
that.
So it's very, very, so we have the Rabbonim will try to speak to the families, and obviously we, even in general, part of the work of the Rabbonim is to do outreach to families that have estranged relationship with their children and bring them back, and we've become very successful over the years.
Really, tell us about the success in this outreach.
Yeah, because initially, many parents, as soon as a son says he's going into the army, so he's gone off the end of the world. And as soon as they, it can be shown that not only are these, are they not going to shmad, quote unquote, but On the contrary, that they're in a miskeret, which is provided for Netzah Yehuda, which is a Torani miskeret.
Which means there's a special framework in the army, understanding
In the army,
the issues of halacha, the issues even of Jewish traditions.
100%. The Netzah Yehuda battalion is a battalion like all other battalions as far as fighting is concerned. But as far as the environment is concerned, it's a framework which is 100% separated, men and women, and a framework which is totally al pi halacha. And whatever has to be done on Shabbos has to be done on Shabbat, and what doesn't, so isn't done. And as soon as the parents start to see feedback, or maybe the boy comes back once and all of a sudden, a boy that was doing nothing, all of a sudden he comes back and he has a Dvar Torah, and he has a whole different, he looks like he's all of a sudden he's a mensch. So all of a sudden they start to switch their mind frame. And we've been very successful with that over the years. Hundreds of families have been reconnected to their children. And this is something which is very important to us, and we put a big effort into it.
How many years since the foundation?
We started the program in February 1999. And
So looking back?
We've come a long way. We came from having a group of boys where the Army didn't even really believe that they wouldn't even know how to shoot, use a rifle. Slowly but surely formed and convoluted into a battalion. That battalion had tremendous achievements, got all awards, and little by little, we grew to where we are today. Today we have over 3,000 active soldiers and about, I would say, over 22,000 veterans. So we have come a long way.
Practically speaking, what can you tell us about how you're helping these lone soldiers, these lone Haredi soldiers?
So lone Haredi soldiers means that they have parents here in Israel, but they don't have a home to go back to. And in Netzah Yehuda, there is no lone soldier who's really alone. And we make sure that every soldier that comes to us that needs a place to be has a place to be. Now, it's not only a bed which he can use when he's off the base, but our lone soldiers have a bed which is their home for the entire time that they are in the Army. Today we have over 200 beds for lone soldiers, over 27 apartments around the country, and that is that soldier's bed. So it doesn't matter if he comes Wednesday night all of a sudden, or he's there for a weekend, he knows that this is his bed. And that soldier, I like to say that not only do we give him a home, but we give him a place so he can feel at home.
Wow. Now, of course, when we talk about drafting the young Haredi boys, it brings us to the controversy regarding drafting Haredi. We see what's going on in the political world. What is your opinion about this controversy?
Well, we feel very strongly, like everybody in the Haredi community, that Am Yisrael needs to have people learning Torah full time. So we are not trying to take anybody out of the yeshiva system that is learning full-time Torah. At the same time, the Haredi community has grown so much that every family practically, or many, many, many families, there are children that it's not the appropriate path for them to sit and learn Torah all day long. And if it's not the appropriate path, then you have to find a path which is appropriate.
And you're not talking about people that are less religious or less, doing what they're supposed to do in terms of Jewish law, and halakha.
No, for
it's
whatever
about being suitable.
reason, right? For whatever reason, it's just not suitable for that boy to be learning all day long. And therefore, that boy, and there are thousands of those boys today, they need to have a path that they can do army service in an environment that lets them serve as combat soldiers to the full extent without having to compromise on any religious issues.
And the
that's
public,
exactly
the
what we
Haredi
did.
public needs to be more and more open to it? Because it's still challenging explaining this to your communities, right?
Because this is really about social change. And social change takes time. And it doesn't take 5 years, 10 years, it takes a number of generations. You can't compare what is going on in the Haredi community today as far as educational opportunities to what was 10, 15 years ago. it's a whole different story. And this is part of that story. It's an evolving story. And people have changed their views, people are changing their views, and it'll just happen more and more.
Now, all this activity is, of course, thanks to your hard work, you and your staff and your teams, and the support from around the world. These days, people are joining and supporting and strengthening your activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the most important thing for us right now, because although we do get government funding, at the end of the day, we are a private organization, and we need to have funds from the private sector as well to support the lone soldier activity, to support the accompaniment. This is money that needs to be raised from the public.
It also means something when someone's taking part in this, right?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as somebody becomes part of the Netzah Yehuda family, they feel that they are doing something which is real and which is making a change.
By the way, I understand that during the war you had a very nice initiative that you're continuing, helping not only the Netzah Yehuda soldiers, trying to help whoever you can, soldiers in the combat areas.
Right. We realized, and we had feedback from many, many soldiers, that there was a need to have some sort of a first aid kit. Not only the chovesh, not only the medic has a kit, but we had one case where a commander, in locking the Jeep door, closed the door on his finger, and there was no first aid kit, and if they would have had a first aid kit with simple bandages and salves and all the things that you need, it would have been a different situation. So therefore, what we came up with is to have a first aid kit. Has about 19 or 20 different parts, from bandages and markers and tweezers, everything you would need in the field. And we are actually giving that out to any combat unit in the IDF. We're reaching out to them. We have 3,000 of these kits that we have obtained, and we're giving out free of charge to any combat unit in the IDF that wants it.
Another expression to how much this is all about the togetherness of the Netzah Yehuda soldiers and all the soldiers throughout the army. Rabbi Tzvi Klebanow, thank you very much for joining us. And good luck.
Thank you very much.